Hello, this is Dave Sugarbaker, and today is the 9th day of August 2026, and I'm going to be talking about open and closed today. The reading is from John 15, 9 to 17. This is what it says. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. I have said these things to you so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. This is my commandment, that you love one another, as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I do not call you servants any longer, because the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I have called you friends, because I have made known to you everything that I have heard from my Father. You did not choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you to go and bear fruit that will last, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask him in my name. I am giving you these commandments so that you may love one another. I spent 27 years as minister of Northbrae Community Church in Berkeley, California. Northbrae was a community church, and we were serious about that. Over 40 different community groups used our facilities on a weekly or monthly or quarterly or semi-annual or annual basis. We had 2 Boy Scout troops. We had 2 Sea Scout ships. We had 1 Girl Scout troop, and we had brownies. We had a co-op nursery program 5 days a week. We had 15 different 12-step recovery groups meeting every week. We had the Berkeley Camera Club and the Begonia Society, the League of Women Voters, and the Northeast Berkeley Community Association all met at the community church, Northbrae. If a church group wanted to have a meeting at the church, they had to get on the calendar just like any other group would have to do in order to reserve space. And God bless them, our church members understood. They didn't complain that other people were using our clubhouse. They understood. The Association of East Bay Television Professionals was going to have their annual meeting and luncheon at Northbrae. The planners thought they would give the minister of the church some place on the program, and so I was asked to do a welcome and an invocation. No sooner had the meeting started than my part was all done. I was seated next to a young woman who was a local television personality. Do you remember Romper Room? It was a franchised television program for local stations for preschoolers. There was a prescribed agenda for the show, and local preschoolers would come and spend an hour on Romper Room. Every station that had the program had a young woman who was Romper Room's local Miss Marianne. For the duration of the luncheon, I was seated at the head table next to Miss Marianne. And I suspect that those planning the event knew Miss Marianne and thought it would be really interesting to put her next to the preacher and see what happened. As soon as I sat down after the invocation, Miss Marianne started in on me. What did I believe? Was the Bible God's infallible word? What was God's required formula for salvation? Was I saved? And all of this was in the nicest, politest tone of voice. It didn't take me long to figure out that there was a specific set of answers that Miss Marianne was looking for. And my answers would either put me into the company of the good guys, the sheep, or it would put me into the larger company of the goats, the bad guys, the unsaved, the unwashed. As Miss Marianne continued her diagnostic questions, I relaxed, and I realized that there was no way that I was going to meet Miss Marianne's expectations, and so I decided not to try too hard for answers that would not offend her. I shared my enthusiasm for Northbray's stained glass windows, including one we called our torchbearer window. It was over 60 feet long. It ran down the whole side of the chapel, and it contained representations of 26 human beings who, in their place and their time and in their culture, helped give meaning to the human condition. People like Noah, Moses, Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tse, Pastor Robinson from the Mayflower, Thomas Paine, Jane Addams, Walter Rauschenbusch, Florence Nightingale, Jane Addams, Albert Einstein. 26 torchbearers. I told her I was really excited about the inclusive spirit of the windows, celebrating people from different times and different cultures, from different religious traditions in the history of humanity, who all, in one way or another, shed light on humanity's path toward morality and religion. I think that was the last straw for Miss Marianne. You could see her mentally shift gears. She straightened up in her chair, and can one flounce while sitting down? She said, well, I am going to heaven, and when I get there, I'm going to look around and see if you made it. After that, Miss Marianne didn't talk to me anymore. I was not devastated. As I see things, the world is made up of two kinds of people: those who are open and learning from others around them, even others who don't see things the way they do. And, on the other hand, there are people who are closed and threatened by other human beings who don't fit into their rigid categories. Meeting and talking to Miss Marianne was an experience between open and closed. It was like oil and water. One of the misuses of religion, it seems to me, is to set up categories of people who are agreeing with me, those are the good people, and those who disagree with me, and those are the bad people. Here's a situation that is as much the opposite of Miss Marianne as we could hope to find. In 2015, Archbishop Desmond Tutu traveled to India to see his friend, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. For 5 days, these two celebrated their decades-long friendship. They teased each other like children, and they pondered the relationship between joy and suffering. The two friends created in that 5 days Mission Joy, a documentary film that debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival in June 2021. The documentary also led to the Big Joy Project, which you can look up online and participate in if you choose to do so. It's free. The film, Mission Joy, captures these two Nobel Prize winners during their final meeting. They came from different worlds and different faith traditions. One, an Anglican theologian known for his fight against apartheid, and the other, a Buddhist monk and Tibet's exiled spiritual leader. They chose not to focus on their differences. Both of them were deeply spiritual. Both had a history of struggle against authoritarian regimes. Both oriented their lives toward compassion and care for others. But what seemed to bond them the most was a kind of shared, playful delight in the world through which they had suffered so much. They were open to learning from each other. The Dalai Lama and Bishop Tutu invited others to consider cognitive reframing. Neuroscientists confirm that reframing the way we see the world can liberate us from resentment. It allows us to recast loss into goodness. As both the Dalai Lama and Bishop Tutu learned to do with their own losses. Well-being is a skill that can be learned, nurtured, and cultivated. Neuroscience confirms that what the Dalai Lama and Bishop Tutu discovered through lived experience, that joy comes from within. Spiritual wisdom and science agree that the key to joy is living from a position of compassion, connection, and kindness. Or in other words, as Desmond Tutu would put it, joy is the reward for seeking to give joy to others. Out in Los Angeles are the La Brea tar pits. Thousands of years ago, mastodons and other prehistoric critters came down to this pool of water to get a drink and sank into the tar that was hidden just a few inches beneath the surface of the water. In the last 100 years, we've been able to excavate the skeletons of these creatures. In our practice of religion, there are some tar pits. There are things that can get us trapped and sink us if we're not careful. I think limiting ourselves to learning only from those who already we know agree with us is one of the recipes for stagnation. It's a tar pit. John Wesley, whom we usually don't think of as a flaming liberal, said, "Though we may not think alike, may we not love alike." Wesley would have loved to see the friendship and collaboration of the Tibetan Buddhist and the South African Anglican. Now, God bless you. Thank you for taking time to listen to this. If you find value in it, I hope you'll pass it along. But in any case, thank you for your time, and I'll hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.